Hi, Sadie. Nice to meet you. I'm Ariana.
Hi, nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. So, what attracted you to the role of Alice to begin with?
Yeah. Well, as soon as I saw the script, I was really excited because I think Alice comes off as kind of a bratty teenager right away. You're like, okay, who's this girl? Why is she acting out? Why is she being so mean to her parents? But as soon as she realizes that she has this ability to go back in time and meet her family, she's completely transformed and she's so softened and she's so warm and like sweet, and she it really reveals, I think, who Alice really is. And so there's this big conflict between who she is when she's at her most like happy and relaxed and comfortable, and who she is when she's like going through her parents' divorce and moving to a small town with the grandmother that she doesn't know, and how those two parts of her could ever like meet or exist inside the same person is really interesting to me. I'm also, my first love has always been singing and music, and so the fact that she's also a singer and a musician is really fun. I've retaught myself how to play the guitar for the audition, but it was all worth it. So yeah, I don't know. There's just a few things right away that were really exciting to me about Alice, and then of course the story on whole, and the fact that Andie and Chyler play my family. It's just been right from the get go. It's been very exciting.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. You were quite comfortable singing for the role because that's kind of a major part of Alice.
Yeah, she when you meet her, she's at this arts high school, and she gets expelled. But I think at her core, Alice really, that's where she's the most herself. I think she we see it as we go along through the episodes. Like, she kind of has to be convinced to sing, but not really, because
Hmm.
that's what she really wants to be doing. And I think that we see this, the beginning of it, that her relationship with Colton, with her grandfather, is very much related to their mutual love of music. And so that develops really nicely throughout the season. And I look forward to everyone being able to kind of see how they connect on that level. And so, yeah, in general, it's always been something that drew me in. And I think it also just makes for some fun scenes. We did our like our little what was it, New Kids on the Block this week in episode 4, and we had a lot of fun just like throwing flowers at each other and playing the ukulele in the field, and it's always just such a sweet part of the episode for me.
For sure. The character Alice in Wonderland in that book has like a big role in the show because kind of the lake is this Alice's Wonderland. Which
Mm-hmm.
fictional character do you think you relate to most
In Alice in Wonderland or just in general?
in general?
Oh, that's a good question. um oh my gosh, I this is kind of random, but when I was in high school, I used to be a birthday party princess as my job. Like, I would go to little kids' parties and like dress up like a princess and like sing songs and like play games with them. And when I was doing that, I was often Moana. And so I feel like she kind of has like a special place in my heart because I I love the movie, and also because that was such a funny, cute part of my life that I don't really do that anymore. But like, I don't know, when I see that movie or like when I hear the songs, I'm like, oh, I love her. So I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's also just a funny tidbit about who I am and who I was.
Well, it does kind of relate to you and even your character because for a lot of the show, you have to be soaking wet. Like, how is
Oh
it
my
like
gosh.
to have to act through that?
You know what? Honestly, that's a part that I did not expect reading the script. I don't know what I kind of pictured happening, but Alice is relentless. Like, she's always going to go back to the past, which means she's always jumping into the pond in her full outfit, Doc Martens and everything. So, we worked through having some kind of sneaky movie magic solutions to that, but a lot of the time it's just about being able to, let it inform your performance, and really thinking about like how much more stressful certain situations would be. We'll see later in the season as things kind of like pick up in intensity that sometimes there's not enough time to change your outfit or give an excuse about why you're soaking wet all the time. Things get really, really urgent, and the time travel gets even more complicated. And so like in some of those moments, it's really all part of the scene, is like, something terrible is happening and you're also soaking wet. So how do you deal with that? So
Yes. So if you could travel back in time to any time period, which time period would it be and why?
I think, I don't know. I think if I wasn't on a show that time traveled back to the 90s, I would have said the 90s because, but now I'm doing that all the time for the scenes, but I still might say the 90s. I don't know. I really like 90s fashion, so that works for me. But I've also been thinking about how I would love to time travel back and see my grandparents, like what their young kind of like love story in life was like, because they met in New Delhi in India, and I think they just had like a really crazy cool beginning of their relationship. I think is very like romantic and very metropolitan, and just like, I don't know, it sounds like fun. So I would love to be like a fly on the wall, how Alice is with her parents. And then hopefully, I wouldn't find out that anyone in my family was being a jerk back in the day, but I I think that would be cool.
Yes. And why do you think that we found out in the latest episode that her mom can travel back in time too? Why do you think that is, without, I guess, giving out anything away? When you were reading it, why were you like, oh, why does she have this special ability as well, her mom?
Yeah. I mean, I have to say that I have questions about that too. We're still learning. We learn kind of at the same pace as Alice, as an audience member, the rules that the pond has. And so we see Elliot try and jump in the pond, and it doesn't work for him. And we see Alice jump in the pond, and we see Kat jump in the pond. And so it doesn't really, we'd have to start throwing a bunch of people in the pond to see if which direction it works, who can go where. But I think there's something to be said for it being, the mother-daughter connection, our family having lived on this farm for a long time. And I think that it'll be interesting for us throughout the season, and hopefully in another season, to keep exploring, what those rules are and who can go where, and how much of it is like the pond deciding, because like we learn in the show, the pond decides where you go. So is it also only allowing certain people at certain times? Like if Elliot tried another day, could he possibly go as well? Or, does Dell know about the pond? All these things are questions that we'll see in the rest of the season, and hopefully future as well.
Yeah, because you might be going to the future. We actually don't know that yet. And
Yeah, we
Elliot
don't know
wouldn't
yet.
know that either. But you said that you like 90s trends a lot. What are kind of your favorite fashion moments from the 90s and from the show?
Yeah, well, in my own life, I wear Doc Martens like all the time. So me and Alice have that in common. I think that's kind of cute. But in the show, I love all the kind of really out there jewelry and the really colorful clothes and the layering. And I really like the baby doll dresses on top of the little t-shirts and stuff. I think it's really cute. And I think Kat has really like an eclectic style, and she shares that with Alice when they share clothes. And I think it's a really nice way for them to connect too.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congrats on this role, and I hope to talk to you about this in future projects.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. You have a good one.
You too.